Hello for the fourth week in Lent, using only the Gospel, John 3:14 to 21. And I want to talk about that analogy in the Gospel of the serpent on a pole in a desert. And I would like to not only talk about that, but give you two other my own personal analogies that I think's like that, but are rather hokey examples or hokey analogies. Well, first of all, historical fact that the Jewish people were in the desert and the snakes were biting them, and they were complaining, and they complaining to Moses. And Moses goes to God and prays for them, and God says to Moses, make a seraph, or a snake, and mount it on a pole, and if anyone who looks at this snake or the seraph and looks at it, he or she will be saved or cured. And so it was. Moses did that. He prayed. He looked at it, and they were cured. And John uses that in the Gospel to say, look to Jesus, mounted on a pole or on a tree or gibbet of the cross. And you look to Jesus, and you'll be okay, and you too will be saved. Well, that's really true. It's sort of the basis of our religion. Jesus Christ suffered and died on the cross, and we are to look to Jesus and be saved. Now, the two other analogies that I think are hokey, but I still think they're good. One is going to a UK basketball game, and when we're winning a tough game, or we just have won a tough game, 4 cheerleaders come out on the floor with a great big 2-story white banner with a blue K on it, and they parade it around, and 2 strong cheerleader males are holding it up on poles, and 2 strong female cheerleaders are guiding it and holding it straight with ropes. And they twist it around and turn it around, and people just go wild. We're number one. We won. We're going to win. This is the greatest thing possible. And I say to myself when I go to some of those games, what a great liturgy. By just doing that, with all those 23,000 people going wild for UK, and we're number one, and we're going to have the victory. What a great liturgy. I hope we can do that in our churches. Not that, but something as powerful as that. To say, we look to Jesus, and in and through Jesus, we will be victorious. John, in the Gospel, he says that, I think. But he also says another thing, and that's another hokey homily helper. And he says that we are to look to the light. And Jesus Christ is the light of the world. And the rest of that Gospel, and it says that, I'll read it. The light came into the world, but people preferred darkness to light because their works were evil. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light, does not come toward the light, so that his or her works might not be exposed. But whoever lives the truth comes to the light, so that his or her works may be clearly seen as done in God. Now here's the hokey analogy. It deals with a fly or flies in particular. One day I was at my sister's house. This was years ago. The one that just died, Sue. And we were talking, and it was in the middle of the summer. It was hot, and she had her windows open, the screens in there, and in her house there were all these flies, and I'd be going like this, and Sue, they've got the flies in here. Well, she lived on a 60-acre farm with horses and flies, and I said, well, you got all these screens and they can't even fly out. So I said, Sue, you know what? I have screens, but they're in my basement. They're not in my windows. And I open the windows during the day, and a few flies fly in. And you know what? I keep them open at nighttime. When it gets dark, I don't put on any lights. And all of a sudden, the flies go toward the light, and they all go out. And I don't have any flies. And it just is wonderful. Really, Larry? Well, I'm going to try that. Well, she tried it. She never forgave me, because she kept her windows open and their screens up, and all of a sudden, by the end of the day, she had so many flies in that house that she has never forgiven me. But I says, it's true, Sue. Flies go toward the light. Well, we are supposed to be attracted to the light, to be attracted to the light of the world. Not live in sin and darkness, but live in the light of Christ. And that is paramount. So I think it's a good analogy. Whether Moses did this thing in the past, and then John, the evangelist, he says, well, it's like the pole, the snake pole, and they were saved. And I say, it is like the pole or the banner at UK, when we're attracted to that and we celebrate that victory. And it's like going toward Jesus Christ, the light of the world. And that is much more important, multitudes, eons better, than just a UK basketball game. Might not seem so many times, but it is much more important to look toward Christ, the light of the world, and let His light shine. That's true victory. That's resurrection. That's Easter. Have a good day.